Ticket Machine is the official ticket broker of Spartan Nation. No matter what you need a ticket for, border to border, coast to coast, the Ticket Machine is your ticket source. So whether you need to get into the hottest concerts, the best sporting events, you want the best seats in the house, or you just want to get in the door, when you want to go to any event that requires a ticket, anywhere, border to border, coast to coast, it's always theticketmachine.com. Theticketmachine.com, 517-655-3201. Check it out today at theticketmachine.com.
Yes, pretty much like I said yesterday afternoon. Didn't obviously play well enough in any area to win. That was supported by the film. I think also, momentum sort of took over, and momentum certainly swung in their favor and was like a wave. So we got to be able to respond better. And the other thing we have to be able to do is move forward. I think and I've talked about this many times, that every experience you have should benefit you. We got to get ourselves ready to play our next game and win number 8. That's the things we can control, and we'll focus on the things we can control and get ready to go. So I'll just take questions.
I guess Tom Izzo has done some dramatic things in the past with his game films. Is this one of those ones that you just kind of want to bury and forget? And how many times did you guys go watch it, and what was kind of the emotions watching it?
Well, I've watched it once, but I do think that there's things to learn from it, especially schematically, whether you are outflanked or out of position, things of that nature. So I think it needs to be corrected more from a standpoint of what play or defense was run, not exactly in terms of the time it was run. You need to just sort of look at it and say, here's all these formations. How did you adjust? And look at those things and draw from it and try and make it a learning experience. Certain things that went on in the game, we got all the things I talked about yesterday that are fundamental to winning a football game. But I think that you're correct. This is one you want to burn, and you don't want it to be indicative of how you play all the time, which it has not been.
I'm curious about what you were talking about yesterday with the problems with the tempo, because against Indiana earlier this year, and I realize it's not exactly the same Indiana, but Indiana did snap it and try to snap it at 11, 12, 13 seconds, if I'm not mistaken, and you guys did pretty well with that. Was Ohio State right around that 11, 12, 13 seconds, and had they done that on film, or did they come with it maybe a beat faster against you guys, faster than you saw on film?
No, I think it was about the same. I don't think it was any faster, and they looked to the sideline and would change the play on us. I think they did a very good job of formations that were a lot like what we'd seen before, but a little bit tweaks, whether it was just an alignment here, alignment there, relative to how I can't really talk without a board in front of me, but they changed up some things there, and for whatever reason, the calls were coming in, but for whatever reason, it just didn't feel like we were ready to play and lined up. Now, on the film, it would appear that you're lined up, but I know in the game, I felt like it was a scramble. I think sometimes, though, when things are going against you, everything seems like a scramble. Everything. And that's the nature of this one, everything. Whether it was tackling or playing the ball in the deep part of the field or pressuring the quarterback or getting lined up, everything seemed to be a scramble. And, we got to negate that.
A lot of negatives, but if you look back at the film, is there anything you can draw out of it in a positive manner when you can show your players and going back and just take it from that?
Well, I don't think we quit. I think just we didn't play effectively. Inside, our defensive tackles were getting reached. On the offensive side of the ball, they were getting pressure, and they were doing the things they needed to do to beat you. So I don't think we quit. I think that's a positive. It's very difficult when things are going in this direction to continue to play hard. And I thought we did play hard. We just didn't play well enough out of our gap integrity, leverage issues on defense, tackling issues on offense, protection issues, things of that nature, things that you can control to some degree. But hey, Ohio State's got good players, so they played well and they were prepared to play.
Antoine Simmons, a guy who's kind of been, I wouldn't say flying under the radar, but he's been a constant contributor for such teams. Got reps as a backup linebacker. He had a career high, I think, with 7 tackles yesterday. What have you seen from him just progressing and getting in the game and getting additional snaps and just experience in these situations.
Yeah, Antoine played 26 snaps yesterday. I thought that, for a freshman in that environment, he played very well. He was under control. He tackled well. He hustled. He made some plays down the field, tackling relative to pursuit. A couple of mistakes he made, in terms of his assignments, but I thought he played, for a freshman, I thought he played okay. And you could see there's a bright future there. And you could say that about a lot of our guys. But, collectively as a group, we got to get him off the field defensively.
On the front, Kenny finished with 9 tackles. That's a tough assignment, I would imagine, with how deceptive Barrett is with the ball. I guess, what did you see from him in particular yesterday?
Played hard. He got in on tackles. A lot of times the tackles were, there were some tackles that he was in on where there would be, he's got the quarterback or he's got to reduce to the dive. But he's making the hit and might be a 3 or 4 yard gain, those type of things. We played the zone offense, the zone play much more effectively in the past. A lot of it depends on whether they move if they're able to move our defensive tackles. They were able to move them. So that creates different gaps and issues that go along with that. But I think Kenny continues to play hard and does everything he can do. And, we'll start with that. We'll start with effort and toughness. You got to, it's in the books. We got to be able to also take responsibility for coaching, take responsibility for how we play. Got to be able to. We have to do that. But we also have to just focus on the future this next week, and that's what we'll do.
Anything else, guys?
Yeah, Mark. When you say that they moved Michigan State's defensive tackles, did they blast them downfield, or was it more of a laterally crossing their face and kind of getting them scooped out of there a little bit? And I imagine it was the latter, and I'll follow up on that if that's the case, or was it a combination of both? I don't think they were blasting them downfield, were they?
They moved the line of scrimmage. They got movement on the 3 technique and on the nose by doubling them, and then getting up to the backers, coming off the double to the backers. So, at times where they scooped us, in other words, zone blocked us, and they scooped us, and they got our, we're supposed to be in this gap, and we're end up in a different gap. So, combination of both, but they got movement and they changed the line of scrimmage. Both sides of the ball changed the line of scrimmage, and they went up front, which usually what we've always said here is you got to win up front first. It makes their quarterback's job easier. It makes the linebacker's job easier, and you can play around that. And we just didn't win up front. Now we're young up front on both sides of the ball, but you still have to win. You have to win your share.
Hey, Mark, and that with them led, what was the mood of the team yesterday? Obviously, deflating the loss, but was it any different than any of the other 2 losses this season? I guess, what was your just reaction or sense to how they were reacting to it on the trip home to East Lansing?
It was tough. It was tough because, as I said in the press conference, we've been very competitive with Ohio State. I think the last 5 times we played them, and this was not the case this time. The score would not indicate that. So you have to take it for what it is. So it was tough, very, very quiet, very somber. And usually when you have that, people are reflecting on it themselves, I think, which is a good thing. But we've always responded. We've always looked at things. How do you play after a tough game? How do you play after a great game in a big environment? A game that had this kind of magnitude, this meaning. And so we look for reaction. And that's what we'll take the next step, but we'll look for reaction. See how we play this week, but I anticipate our guys will come to play. The fact that, we need to play better technique on the edges. On the edges, we need to tackle more effectively in the back end. David Dow has a big interception. Justin Lane has a great interception in the end zone there, but consistency in performance. Ball got out on us. We got to be able to track it down. The leverage issues. A lot of it stems from, a couple different formations that sort of put us in, difficult situations. But over and above everything, we got to tackle more effectively on the perimeter. We'll continue to compete back there. We'll be fine.
State had been, everyone knows about the reputation of the defensive line. It's supposed to have a great defensive line, but they really didn't have great sack numbers coming into this game. When you look at that matchup again, What did you think some of the problems were? Were your guys getting a little bit surprised? Were they surprised, like maybe halfway through the first quarter, about the nature of the opponent? Do you think any of that settled in? So pass protection and then reacting to being on the field with a team like that.
I think pass protection, obviously, we gave up too much pressure. I think Ohio State, they did a nice job. I think Boza and some of the other guys, Holmes, the guys are very good at pass rushing. They got us in long yardage situations. Talked about that, the inability to run the football puts you in long yardage situations at times, and then they could tee off on you. And then if you overset or you don't do it exactly right, then there's a power issue. Relative to their, you're not in a position of power to protect the quarterback, and then everything else just starts to fall downhill. Pressure on the quarterback makes you nervous. Try and get the quarterback out on the edge. Not as accurate as he has been. Can't separate downfield with the receivers. So there was a little bit of everything, and we've talked about the storms that we've been in and played through.